Okay, am I on? I'm on. And a very merry welcome to those of you in the audience. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Stearns? Mayor Pro Tem Wagner?
I'm here.
Councilmember Sackliffe?
Here.
Councilmember Ingstrom?
Here.
Mayor Mortar?
I'm here, thank you. And my agenda says that we have a special presentation tonight for a public service award to Councilmember Tim Stearns and to someone named Kathy Mortar.
So, Mayor Mortar, if you would join us at the podium, please. So we have an award here given to Kathy Mortar for her outstanding service to the city as the mayor of the city of Mount Shasta. And this is honestly given to you with great gratitude of the staff, members of the city, and the city council. And thank you so very much.
My last chance. Just to keep it brief, I have loved working with you all on the council, and I've also loved working with you on the staff. I've learned much from all of you. And it's been an honor to serve the members of this fine city as best I could, listening to all the perspectives, which are varied, as you all know, and weighing in on a decision that I felt was best for all of us now and into the future. It's been a wonderful journey. And I am, as I've said to many of you, looking forward to my next chapter to see what it is. So thank you so much from my heart to yours.
And if Councilmember Stearns would be so gracious as to join us. So this is really a special award. This is for 20 years of service. This is truly, Tim, an outstanding accomplishment. You truly have distinguished yourself. And again, on behalf of the staff, City Council, the citizens, thank you. Thank you for 20 years of your life. Greatly appreciated.
It's been an honor to work with other council members, city staff, community members, community volunteers for the last 20 years. Looking back, kind of wonder, well, what difference did it make? But hopefully it's made some, and look forward to those who follow in the footsteps, continuing the good efforts. So thank you so much.
Endings and beginnings, very special moments. It's nice to see all of you in the audience. And now it's your turn, if you'd like, to share your comments with us about anything that's not on the agenda. And we have 3 minutes for each of you to do just that. And please start with your name, and we're happy to hear from you. Yes, Audra.
Good evening. I'm Audra Balick, formerly Audra Gibson, and City Council member of the City of Mount Shasta. I took a big inhale when Tim's service is 20 years. That went by pretty fast for me, probably much slower for you on the City Council. I wanted to come in person tonight to thank you, Tim, for your years of service, and Mayor Mortar for your years of service. I appreciate you and know that it takes a lot. Congratulations to our new council members that will be sworn in this evening. I look forward to that ceremony. And just a reminder, when you're elected to the City Council, you represent the whole community, not just the people who voted for you. So thank you for keeping that in mind as you make the big decisions, because there will be some. I also wanted to remind some people that there are still a lot of former council members and staff that are with a lot of institutional knowledge that still live in and love our community. And I want to invite you to invite them as you come across projects or things that you might find some wisdom there that can help you save some time and energy. And also that relationships do matter. Over time, you will not just be remembered for what you do, but how you do it. So thank you all, and thanks for your service, and congratulations.
Okay, other comments, please.
Melinda Willie, Mount Shasta. I'm sorry that Juliana Lucchesi's not here tonight. I went to the presentation for the Planning Commission last night on the cannabis issue, and I thought the presentation was excellent. I'm not pro or con. I'm not saying that what I am. I'm gathering information right now. The panel discussion, the people on the panel were great. I didn't realize the depth of vetting that had to go into before somebody could do a manufacturing plant or before they could do a dispensary. Everyone on the panel had great information to share and answered the questions very genuinely from direct experiences. And I was glad to see Dr. Parker up there too. And I have lived in Mount Shasta for 12 years, been coming here for 38, and Tim has been on the council ever since I have lived here. And although we always don't agree on, or we're not on the same side of the aisle on some things, I really appreciate your dedication, your historical knowledge, your legal eagle eye on things, and I am disappointed that you're not on the council still. And I hope that you will be up here and them telling you your 3 minutes are up. So thank you for your service. And thank you for Juliana, who's not here, for putting on such a great presentation last night.
Thank you, Melinda. And yes, Jeff, speaking of former staff who are still with us.
Yeah, I'm one of those formers that Audra was referring to. And as a former city manager here and elsewhere, but decided to make the rest of my life a commitment to Mount Shasta, some of my best friends are or have been mayors or council members. So I'd say it with all due respect and lightheartedness, and also very great seriousness, because one of the things that you're doing tonight, one of the things that you and local government have managed to do for the most part throughout this nation is transition smoothly from one group of council members to the next. Something our national government has kind of gotten a little bit, lost a knack to do smoothly and as capably as we are seeing tonight, and we are witnessing other local governments who are remain the bastion of the democracy that we are trying not to lose right now. And I thank all of you for your service, and I don't know, this is the first time I've ever known Tim not to be a council member, so it's a whole new thing. And Kathy certainly has made the best of her time in office as a council member and is certainly going out as mayor. And I'm very pleased that that opportunity was something that she made the best of, and so did the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, very much. Others of you, any comments? Okay, yes, Lieutenant.
Mayor Mortar, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Kyle Foster. I'm the commander of Mount Shasta CHP, and on behalf of the California Highway Patrol Mount Shasta area, I'd like to thank you, Councilman Stearns and Mayor Mortar, for your service to the community of Mount Shasta. I want to thank you for bringing me into the community about a year ago and helping me with my transition, learning the ins and outs of the city and the surrounding communities. And it's been a great pleasure working with you. And I look forward to working with the new city council members who will be appointed this evening, and also the new mayor of the city. So again, on behalf of the Highway Patrol, thank you again for your service.
You're most welcome. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, seeing none, let's move on now to council and staff comments. Mr. City Manager, have you something for us tonight?
Thank you, Mayor Mortar, members of the council. So since our last meeting, one of the major issues that everybody in this community and the city council and the staff has been very concerned about is the question of fires, fire suppression, emergency preparedness. I know it's an item that's on everybody's mind for obvious reasons. And towards that end, we held meetings with Carolyn Napper of the Forest Service last Friday and began a dialogue of how the city and the Forest Service can work together addressing the threats of major fires in this region. Obviously, we are surrounded by a national forest, so the probability of an incident is higher starting in the National Forest Service properties and then maybe migrating forward towards the city. Out of that meeting, the Forest Service has agreed to begin mapping on their staff level of critical fire areas, and we'll be getting together after the first year to map out those areas, bring the different staffs together to begin formulating plans of how to address fire emergencies in those areas and other areas around the city, and start working to see if we can all pull in other agencies, other fire departments, the county, and come up with a plan to address fire suppression around the city. And then out of that, develop a mutual emergency evacuation plan. So we're looking for a lot of meetings in the future, public meetings and private. Additionally, at the last meeting, the council looked at the 30% drawings on the library, gave staff direction. Since then, we have held 2 meetings between staff and the consultants. There have been certain changes made. We'll be holding the 3rd meeting probably right after Christmas, and getting those drawings revised, moving in a little more concise direction. And the minutes of those are being recorded, transcribed by Ms. Wilson, and would be posted on our city webpage, so it will be available to the public and members of the council. So you can keep track of what is going on in the library as we prepare to make changes and bring it back for council consideration. And that would be probably some of my comments this evening.
Thank you. Questions of Bruce from council?
Quick question, are we going to get notification if anything goes on the webpage, or are we supposed to just regularly go in and check?
I would just go in and check.
Just go.
because we post lots of things on the webpage.
Okay, so just make a habit of regularly going in and checking and see, would it be under the What's New tab, or where would I go to find a specifically library updates?
Well, we haven't posted it yet, so why don't we get, when we get Catherine to post it, we have one set of minutes, the other ones are coming in. We'll post this, we'll send out a notice, we'll identify where it goes.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions of Bruce? Muriel, have you anything tonight? No? Okay. Okay, council members, it's your turn.
I'd like to thank you and Tim for your service. It's a pleasure being on the council with both of you. I learned a lot from you, and I'd like to just thank you. Wish you both well. I'm sure we'll all be reaching out.
I'll second what Paul just said and like to say I think we actually did accomplish a few things in the last 2 years that I was involved with you guys, obviously helping and doing your parts in a lead role in most cases. So much appreciated. I'll miss your leadership for sure. So thank you both, and good luck in future endeavors.
Yes, I'll ditto that as well. I love the special talents that you bring to the council. Kathy, in particular, your communication skills and your empathy towards the community and recognition of what they're expressing. And I just loved bringing, not necessarily feminine, but it feels like a feminine energy to me that I really appreciated that coming forward and allowing that to be expressed. So thank you for that. And Tim, I love what also you brought to the table. You brought a lot of legal expertise, attention to detail, attention to precise language, many other things beyond that. But I, sometimes when I felt a little bit at a loss as how to deal with a particular topic, you came in strong into the council, and you had a lot of comments and really did your homework, and I really appreciate that, setting that as an example, because I think it does take work to be on council, and you demonstrate not only you have a job, a full-time job that you go to, as some of the other council members do, but you also devote the necessary time it takes to put in some quality effort towards being a council member, so thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you very much. Tim, have you anything?
I'll just again indicate it's been a pleasure working with all of you, and I wish you well. Thank you for the opportunity to serve.
I miss you already. However, maybe I'll be in the audience and just, share my thoughts in 3-minute intervals. And I too, because I think this is my last time to speak, I really want to welcome Jeffrey and John and wish you well. And don't hesitate to call on any of us if you'd like to.
One more time? Okay. I do want to specifically thank Juliana for last night's, we had like an hour to an hour and a half presentation with a panel discussion of 6 to 7 panelists with their own expertise, all represented. Very well orchestrated event. Questions were taken from the audience on a piece of paper so that they were anonymous and fielded by the panelists and by the city. And I thought that hour's worth of the city's time and the community's time was well worth getting clarity on what the cannabis industry is in our town and where it's going and how highly regulated it is and how safe it is. So it was a very informative evening, so really appreciate the community coming out, and I really very much appreciate Juliana's efforts and Jim Mullins, who was the MC. Also, very, very good presentation. Thank you very much to staff for that.
Great. Round 2, anyone else?
Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. It was well worth saying.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to move now then to Consent agenda. City manager recommends approval of the following consent agenda items. All resolutions and ordinances on this agenda or added hereto shall be introduced or adopted as applicable by title only, and the full reading thereof is hereby waived. A, approval of minutes, November 26, 2018, regular city council meeting. B, acceptance of Brown Act committee minutes, September 10th and October 12th, 2018, beautification committee. C, approval of disbursements, accounts payable 11/26/2018, and total gross payroll and taxes for the period ending 11/18/2018. D, local transportation committee, fiscal year 2018 and 19 claim. And E, police department monthly report. Is there a motion?
Move to approve consent agendas, consent agenda numbers A through E by title only.
Second.
Second.
Quick question. On the local transportation, they divided the two funds up between, there's approximately 90,000 and 30,000. Does the 30,000 actually, is that available for the city to spend on roads? Is that city-specific? Okay.
Hello?
Okay, so the approximately 30,000, part of the 120,000 goes to the city of Mount Shasta to spend, and the other 90, approximately 90,000 goes to the county.
That's correct.
Okay, just clarification, thank you.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous approval. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is approval of canvass of election results. And I believe Kathy Wilson, our deputy city clerk, will be handling it.
So one last time, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. On November 27th, the Siskiyou County Clerk certified the results of the election held on November 6, 2018. And as a matter of process, staff requests that the City Council adopt Resolution CCR-18-58, reciting the facts of the general election and accepting the certified canvass and statement of results of the election from the Registrar of Voters to fill the vacant seats of City Council members with terms to expire in November 2022, and assigning ordinance number CCO-18-06 to Measure S, approved by the required 2/3 vote of the voters of the City of Mount Shasta.
Okay, Kathy, are you going to handle the rest of it?
The rest of,
The vote, and
Move approval.
thank you.
there's a question
I have a
here.
question, but I don't know exactly what. Do you want to go for second first, or what?
Yes, is there a second on the motion? Okay, thanks.
So I have a question, because I was looking at the results, and it looks like Measure P got 69%, so I need clarification. That seems like more than 2/3. So did Measure P pass, and if it did, why aren't we talking about it?
Can I jump in?
Please.
Okay. So Measure P was a vote, generally speaking, for the whole 96067 zip code. The Mount Shasta Rec District covers a much broader area than the city of Mount Shasta itself. That particular precinct for which you saw the numbers actually did pass. That's, I believe, the one that's over here on Alder and Ivy, where you vote. So the city itself passed it. The overall district area did not by 1.7%. 63 votes needed to be swung.
And the area you're talking about is Weed, Dunsmuir, Mount Shasta?
No, it's just Mount Shasta
Zip
960
code.
zip code.
Oh,
Generally,
okay,
there's
so
some
it is generally in the Mount Shasta
Yeah.
area. It doesn't go beyond, okay.
Beats Road or
Measure P fell 63 votes short
Okay, I just wanted,
in the
because,
zip code.
okay, I just wanted clarification, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, unanimous again. Thank you. The next item on the agenda then is the swearing in of new city council members. And I believe this is yours again, Kathy.
Actually, City Clerk John Kennedy will be swearing in the new council members.
I too would like to thank Kathy Mortar and Tim Stearns for the fine job that they've done. I'm going to miss you. Good luck in your retirement. Is it all right if I have them stand over here? John Wagner and Kathy Collins. Makes it easier. Everybody can see you that way. Anyway, raise your right hand and state after me. I state your name. I, Jeffrey Collins. Do solemnly affirm. That I will support and defend. The Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of California. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. And that I will bear true faith. And allegiance. To the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of California. I will take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservation. Or purpose of evasion. And that I will. Well and faithfully discharge. The duties upon which I am about to enter. Welcome to the City Council.
There are 2 seats available. You want to first?
Oh, we do eventually. She's the pro tem.
You dropped your card. You're supposed to just take the empty seat. And we'll play musical chairs after the vote. Maybe. Oh, I guess I have to take over, huh?
Well, I'm going to take over
I
this
forgot
portion.
about that.
I'll take over for this portion.
Okay, go ahead.
In compliance with the City of Mount Shasta Municipal Code, members of the City Council will pick a mayor and pro tem to serve for the next year. So we'll start with mayor. So we'll go ahead and open the floor to nominations.
Nominate myself.
Do we have any other nominations?
I'll nominate Paul Engstrom.
I'll nominate Barbara Wagner.
Any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll take the votes in order. All in favor of Councilmember Redmond as mayor, raise your hand. We have no vote. Okay, we have one vote. Okay, we'll go to the next one. All in favor of Paul Engstrom as mayor, raise your hand. Okay, 2 votes. All in favor of Barbara Wagner as mayor, raise your hand. We have 3 votes. Barbara, you are no mayor.
Thank you. On to the next vote, or you want to do music?
You can take over now.
Okay. Next is we're going to be electing a mayor pro tem. The mayor pro tem. Next, we'll be electing. Thank you. I'm honored to serve the community. Thank you for your election. The next thing is to nominate a mayor pro tem. The mayor pro tem sits in place of the mayor and serves as a functional mayor when the mayor is absent. So in her absence, you will do sometimes a ceremonial presentation or conduct the meeting. So you will want to educate yourself on how to conduct a meeting and know a little bit about the duties of the mayor. And what the mayor does. So in a sense, it can be a preparatory for mayor for next term. So if you're interested in being mayor, which we do recommend that people that sit on city council do take a term as mayor because it helps the overall quality of a council when we rotate the mayor position. So I will accept nominations for mayor pro tem.
I'll nominate John.
I'll nominate Jeffrey. Does everyone accept the nominations? Yeah. So we can go to a vote, and we'll go in order of the nomination. Who would like John Redmond as the mayor pro tem? Okay. Who would like John Stackfleth as the mayor pro tem? And I think that's it. I don't need to ask the third question. Okay. So welcome. And then as far as the seating order, generally the mayor pro tem, we can deal with that next time. You want to do that now?
You can do it now, and it's up to you.
We can go ahead and stay seated as is, but generally we can refer to the protocols for how the seating position is. Generally, the mayor pro tem sits to the right of the mayor, and some of the less senior people sit on the ends, but otherwise I'm good with the order, but John might want to sit to my right, but I'm fine if you want to stay where you are too. If you're comfortable there, it's fine.
Yeah, for
Detail.
tonight, that's fine.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so that's it for that. There's no public comment on this, right? Right. Okay, so now we're going to do appointment of city representative in the Trail Town Committee, and this is a Bruce Pope item.
So thank you, Mayor Wagner. The item before you tonight is the question, the appointment of Kathy Mortar as the Trail Town Committee Coordinator. This previous council enacted a resolution that made us party to the Pacific Crest Trail Town. It brought Mount Shasta as the first official trail town city. We held a major event during the summer in which we celebrated the trail and the users of the trail, and we are now moving into a stage of the next phase of the trail town, our association with the Pacific Crest Trail Association. We're getting into a negotiation of an MOU with the United States Forest Service dealing with the city and the Pacific Crest Trail. And this item is to have someone with knowledge, someone who's experienced, which is Ms. Mortar, because the introduction of this item to the city was brought to us by Ms. Mortar. She coordinated the meeting. She helped draft the MOUs and the agreements, the understanding. You have appointed your city manager as your representative to work and represent the city in this. This is a function that's going to take a great deal of activity, a lot of coordination, a lot of scheduling, and somebody that can work with city staff, can work with all the different agencies, and isn't tied down with day-to-day schedules, meetings, and organizational protocols. They sort of a freer hand in helping to assist and coordinate these functions. And the person we have selected for that or recommending is Kathy Mortar. So we would, staff would respectfully request that you consider her appointment tonight.
Okay, any questions to staff on this item? If not, we'll go to public comment. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll move to approve resolution number CCR 18-5059, resolution of City Council of the City of Mount Shasta appointing Kathy Mortar as the city's official Pacific Trail Town Program Coordinator by title only.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by John Stockblatt, second by Paul Engstrom to appoint Kathy Mayer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Kathy. It's great. We'll see you around. All right. So now we're going to have the next item, number 12, a discussion and possible action for council member training. And this is a report by Kathy Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The League of California Cities will be holding its annual New Mayor and Council Members Academy training in Sacramento in mid-January 2019. It's a 3-day training, and it includes some of the training that's required by law, including sexual harassment and ethics training that's required within the first 6 months of taking office and every 2 years thereafter. It's an excellent training course. We do highly recommend it, and we just need a determination as to who will be attending.
Any questions of staff on this item? Any public comment on this item? No. Okay. For discussion, does anybody have any discussion? I have some things to say, but you guys go.
Well, I found, this is the same training we did 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
Okay,
this is
so-
trade, yeah.
Yeah, it was excellent and thorough training, and I would go again, but I simply don't have the vacation time nor the free time, given a few things that I'm doing in January. But John should go.
No, I'm planning on it.
Okay. I think all of us have gone otherwise, right?
And I support John going, but if Jeffrey wants to go too, you're newly in office.
$1,500. We don't need to spend it on me.
Okay, sometimes our city manager highly recommends not only for the information, but also for the contacts with other cities and really cultivating those relationships so that when an item comes up for our city, you have some people you can contact to see what people are doing in the same item in other cities. It's a a good way to network and to help problem solve. So highly recommended. You obviously need the ethics training eventually within the first 6 months. You can do that online. You don't necessarily need to be present, but it's available for you.
Just as a sideline, the city's going to be doing a citywide sexual harassment training here at the city park in April. So those requirements will be met for that particular type of training as the law has changed starting January 2019, that not only supervisors, department heads, council members need to take the training, every employee within the city now has to take that training. So we will be doing that, like I said, again in April.
Is there anybody else interested in going? Paul? No? Okay. So, I guess looking for a motion to, no motion? We can just decide, let's send John Redmond to the, okay, there you go.
Thank you, guys.
It's well worth it. No, it's good.
Next item is council reports on attendance at outside meetings. I believe there are none. Is that correct, Kathy? It doesn't say none, but I think you meant none. Yeah. Okay. So now the next item, number 14, future agenda items. You see the list that's before you for the next 60 to 90 days. Any comments on those or any suggestions for future items? Or
Yeah, so
what? So where does the public comment come in after, on this one? Does public comment come on a future agenda
You've
item?
held the public comment already.
On future agenda items?
Not in future agenda items, no.
Is there public comment on future agenda items?
No?
No.
What-
Melinda's saying it's an agenda item, so isn't there public comment?
She wants to comment on future agendas?
Sounds like there's a
would-
couple people that raised their hands that want to comment on future agenda items.
Well, if she wishes to comment on future agenda items, you can take her comments.
Okay, I can take comments for future agenda items.
At the last city council meeting or the one before, one of the agenda items for the future was Mr. Freeze's storage unit and car wash. It's not showing up on here tonight, so I'm wondering if it's moved out past 90 days or it's been taken off altogether.
Mr. Freese's application is in process. It's, his engineer is working on that application, and they're going through the CEQA review as it's required as part of that application. That, as that application moves through the process, it will go to the Planning Commission for consideration.
So we're starting over again from when the last time it went through and didn't get approved? It's
It,
like
it
started
never
over?
it never got approved.
Right,
And it
okay.
did not have a secret document, so they could not act on it.
Okay, so
and-
it's going to be out past 90 days, that's why it's
Oh,
not
yes.
on here?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Please state your name, please.
Hi, guys. My name is Nyan Shepard. This is Rebecca Allen. We're the owners of Alua Kombucha. We're their new beverage company in town. We live in the city. We started this business by both being, bartenders and waitresses. Started it bootstrapping, with basically pulling every penny out of our pocket to start this business. And it's been wildly successful so far. As many of you guys know, we're in escrow to purchase a building that's a rather eyesore in the middle of town. However, we've been having issues understanding and navigating your connection fees to water and sewer. And I see that you have on your future agenda, item G, vacant buildings ordinance. I'd like to put on the vacant buildings ordinance that new businesses that are already existing in Mount Shasta do not be charged $30,000 for connection fees for doing what we do, which is brewing tea at a large scale. Okay, now, I know we want to create jobs here. I know we want the economy to pick up. But we're 2 weeks away from closing on this building, and we're getting ready to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into the city and create dozens of jobs. We're already marketed well in Medford and Ashland. Next year, we are looking to market in Reading, and each year we decide we're going to try to push further and further out to be a regional brand that on every logo says brewed in Mount Shasta. It brings people here, and it's filling a void that the city doesn't have and nobody's paying attention to. But when I see that my connection fees on a building that is already connected to the water and sewer, and I understand if you're a business and you just need to add an extra bathroom, and that's a $1,500 fee. But for us to brew tea and to have 500-gallon fermenters with 10 of them, and as well as bright tanks and other equipment that it requires floor drains, not because we need them, but because it's required. And to see that we're going to have to pay a $30,000 fee to the city to have these connection fees. Now, I spoke with the city manager, about Mr. Pope, and he was very helpful because we were dealing with a sidewalk issue of where we were actually told that we needed to replace the sidewalks, which are not on our property. He was actually very generous in saying that we didn't have to worry about that. But on these connection fees, we're literally at the point where
Basically could be the difference between us being able to bring this amazing business to our town or not.
or going to McLeod, which has offered us, to use the water, use the spaces available, and to do it with no connection fees. And
You have the yellow lights on, a
I'm
few more
almost done.
seconds, yeah.
Okay, so basically, if you want me to create jobs in this town, I can create at least a dozen in the next 2 years. But if you want to charge me $30,000 in connection fees to the water and sewer, I'm going to take my business elsewhere. And so I'd like to have this addressed, and I'd like to have a lid or a ceiling on the amount of connection fees that can be charged to an existing business that's moving connections from one facility to another inside the city. I should not be paying these fees.
Thank you.
So for the record, the city has a process of how we deal with issues like this, you presently have an ordinance in place, which is a law that sets the fees. That ordinance was adopted by this council. It can be amended by the council should you choose to do so. The process that we utilize in this city and most every other city is that we would work with the applicant. The application will be processed, and if we cannot resolve the issue, in other words, in case of connection fees where there's an ordinance that sets what staff has to charge, we can eliminate the other issues, and that item could then be appealed by the applicant to the city council. And that would be scheduled for a hearing on the agenda, and you could then take that under consideration. A night such as this with public comment, under the Brown Act, you are not allowed to discuss it. You're not allowed to take any action. So our process would be to work with the applicant. It's a business we want to work with. We want to bring forward, do what we can to encourage business wherever we can, but we have to work within the rules set by the council. And then the process would be, if we reach an impasse, to bring it to the council for consideration. And so I would encourage the applicant to continue to work with staff. We'll work in a positive mode to do our best to get this business opened.
So, Bruce, the ordinance you're talking about, would that be the 218 process we went through to set the rates on
No,
sewer?
you set your connection fees by ordinance.
Right, wasn't part of the 218 process, the rate changes and so forth? It wasn't part of that?
You set the water fees and the sewer fees.
Right.
And you have connection fees for every, for every sink, every faucet, there's a connection fee.
Right, I'm just asking, do we reset those things when we went through the
Yes.
218 process, right?
Yeah.
So I was under the impression it's hard to make exceptions.
It's very hard to make exceptions.
Okay.
If a business has paid a connection fee at their current place of business and is simply transferring to a second place of business, is that what the situation is here, and then they have to pay again?
The way I read your present ordinance, when you open a business, you have to pay the connection fee at the point of where you're opening the business. The fact that you paid for a connection in another building does not transfer,
Even if it's the same business?
even if it's the same business. It's different locations. Yeah, this is not
Yeah,
an
we-
agenda.
we-
We're not
Sorry,
supposed,
we
I think
can't,
we're a little.
yeah.
we're not
stretched-
supposed to be discussing
we're
it. We're
stretched
not,
this
definitely
out.
not taking action on it.
Yeah.
So we will
Thank you.
work with the applicant, and this will most likely come to you in a proper format, so you can act on it.
So since they said there's some urgency in the matter, they're in escrow, are we going to actually look at how this is written up and review it, or is that on our own to review and get back to you as it individually? Or are you going to agendize this?
We have to see if there's, what we're going to agendize first before we answer that. We will meet with the applicant, we'll review the application, see what has to be done, what conditions are going to be placed on this business. I'll work with Rod, work with Juliana, work with the building inspector, and we will have an application. And we'll see what issues we can resolve at a staff level. That's our job. If we can't resolve something, if there is an ordinance anywhere in here that doesn't allow us to grant permission as requested, we will then put it on an agenda. It will be properly noticed, and you can take whatever action you deem appropriate. And the applicant will, of course, be given a chance to make their case before the council.
Okay, that sounds pretty clear.
Okay. So that should end that discussion.
I know one of the top priorities for a new council is to set the goals for the year, the city goals. And I'm wondering if we should go ahead and schedule a workshop for that, or do you want to wait until John has gone through at least gone through the training and the orientation and whatnot, or where do you see that?
We drafted a set of goals that we've distributed to the old council. We'll make sure that the two new council members get copies of this, but it's up to the council to make a decision. I would strongly suggest we schedule workshops to start discussion. The document you have before you that we're going to be talking about is quite extensive. It's a little different than what we've done in the past in that it covers a myriad of different projects, and it's meant to be an ongoing living document that moves with the project. Judges' performance will be added to, because as you know, as you go from council meeting to council meeting, new issues come up, new priorities that we have in that schedule at this time can change. So that documents could evolve, and it's what we're going to use to measure how successful we are on these projects, to identify where projects start to go sideways, get them corrected, keep them on track. So there could be additional goals this council. I mean, it's a document that I took a shot at, and now I want to share it with the council, and I want council to have input in this, and we come to agreement on what these goals are and what the priorities are. So a workshop is very important, and we need to have multiple workshops.
And when do you see the first one happening, or how soon?
I would say after the first year.
After the first year?
Why don't we think about it? I'll get the documents out to two new members, and at the first meeting in January, we can talk about setting a workshop.
Now, is that included on the future agenda items, a workshop? Is that part of what we put on an agenda, future agenda item, or is that just
We'll put on
between us?
the January 14th agenda, discussion, possible action on council workshop on goals.
Okay, thank you.
So, on behalf of the newcomers and my own memory, can you clarify? Never mind. Anyhow, A, B, and C, what exactly are the goals of those items? Reorganization of committee, council appointments,
Yeah, that's, you know,
and they don't know what the nuisance of.
That's going to be the appointment of council members to committees.
that's the LTAC, DX, CDAC appointment.
Are we going to go back to that?
No,
Yeah,
RWAG.
oh, RWAG, but not the CDAC, DX stay as
No,
is?
Okay, so
We got
we're
those
not
all
doing
so
filled?
we're going to be
liaison.
clarifying all this.
Yeah, we're not doing liaison
Oh, yeah,
appointments
sorry, we're not
anymore.
doing that, council.
But we do have,
Council liaison.
you're going to have to appoint someone to LAFCO, because Councilmember Stearns was the
He's
council.
shaking his head no. He said it's taken already.
It's, I'm sorry, that's correct. It is not a city appointment. It's the mayors of the cities, their members. So you have the RWAG, you have some others,
Okay.
and we'll appoint those at that time.
Okay, so
And
the nuisance
And
abatement?
was B?
Yeah,
your
nuisance
second?
abatement, that's a far-reaching ordinance that was somewhat controversial when it
Yes,
first
that is
appeared.
correct.
Right, so.
We brought that ordinance before the city council previously. It had been reviewed by the city attorney, and the city attorney made his recommendations. It came to council. Council had concerns and wanted to look at it, and we're in the process of redrafting it, making some changes, and then that item will come back to the council.
Okay, so and the last one would be planning services request for proposal. I can't remember what that is for.
That's the sequel, isn't it? Yeah, that's,
Juliana.
we're putting out a request for planning services, so we have an ongoing CEQA consultant going through an RFP process.
Would be a future employee or just a contractor?
Contract.
Has to do with the general plan.
Has to do with all documents that
All
require
documents, okay.
some SQL analysis in which we need outside technical assistance.
So now the two new people and my memory are fully ready for that next meeting. That's good.
Now that we're all up to date. Helpful. So if there are no other questions or suggestions for future agenda item, we can adjourn. Thank you for coming to the council meeting. Sure, if you want. It's really heavy. It's really an old one.